Welcome to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Gee, I hope I didn't make a mistake with these two. They promised me they'd bring in some really good guests. Well, anyway, here's Frank and Irene.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the Mother May I podcast with Mr. Frank Conniff and Irene Gomez. I think you know who is who. And I wanted to do little Gabby Glazer plug for that intro. That is her song, Frank, you know, Balls Out. Her album, Give Me Splash. She is Luscious Jackson's former guitarist, and she is the bomb.
She's a great talent.
He absolutely is. Mr. Conniff, how are you, sweetie?
I'm okay. I'm looking just kicking in for the last 9 months of the pandemic, and we'll see what happens.
You see what that now? Are you like, you know, a lot of people, like I was talking to, you know, our guest backstage, and a lot of people, and I've been getting this from a lot of people are kind of like feeling a little anxious about the world reopening. I mean, we want the world to reopen, but at the same time, it feels like, you know, we were able to kind of relax a little. And how do you feel about that? Are you ready to go guns blazing once you're done?
Well, I'll be ready, you know, once I feel it's really safe, which I don't yet. You know, I'm really looking forward to being in a position to be socially awkward again, you know, and but I don't think we're there yet, you know. So maybe by the summer. Maybe by the fall, you know, but I think people have to be careful. Although I think, you know, once people get vaccinated, and I'm getting my second one on Monday, that once we're vaccinated, people I think can figure out for themselves what they feel comfortable doing, and I hope people in a safe, respectful way start to hang out again and stuff. I mean, we people need it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we need it. I think, but you know, safety is one thing. You know, I'm going to continue wearing the fucking mask. I don't care, even though I'm double vaccinated, especially in the fall, because I found that it really protected me against the common cold and other viruses too. So
yeah,
you know, so I'll probably continue that. But I'm talking about like the some people are feeling the anxiety of actually you know, insinuating themselves back into the world, like getting back to work, and like, you know, because there was less pressure for us to be running around and doing whatever, you know. So I feel like some people are experiencing that anxiety as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I don't really I don't feel that as much. I mean, yesterday I walked past a building, and inside, it was like the lobby of like an office, and there was like a cafeteria, and I just got wistful looking at it, and it was empty, of course, but just the idea of being in a cafeteria with a lot of people and eating and talking to your friends, and like, right. I want that world to come back. You know, I want the world of socializing. Yeah. Even though I'm not a great socializer myself, I just want to know that you can do that, and that the restaurants. I was happy to see that in my neighborhood, the Mansion restaurant, which you and I have eaten at, they're not back to full. You know, they're not allowed to have a full capacity. But I went there the other day to get takeout food, and they were very busy. So I was happy to see that. You know.
Yeah, that's great. We need to go there. That's one of my favorite places, introduced by you. Cafeterias give me flashbacks, but I'll tell you something. I will definitely go to the Mansion. And I do miss that dining experience and just seeing live performances. So it's going to be good. You know, the clubs are reopening also.
I've heard that. I think I saw a tweet that is the Comedy Cellar like opening again.
Yep, the Comedy Cellar.
Wow. Well, that's exciting to know that it'll still be there for me to never get spots at. So.
You and me both, Frank.
It's depressing to have it closed and not do spots, but to have it open and not be able to do spots is really how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it felt like a little bit, and now it feels more like normal. It's going back to normal. It felt unnatural before.
Right.
So the world is reopening. We have some amazing guests. I'm not going to keep them waiting. First girl that's coming to the, I was going to say stage, because I'm still stuck in comedy land. Oh, first of all, I do also want to plug this before I forget. I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's hashtag Suck It. It used to be a show that Jennifer Esposito and I used to do together, but more so this little necklace right here, if you can see it, just such a whore. Anyway, so this right here was made by a really dear friend of mine who I love. She makes custom jewelry. If you ever want to check her out, at Lagoon Jewels is her company. Okay. And right before I went into commercial break, I want to bring our guest, Frank. You love her. I love her. Funny comic and an actress, writer, multiple talented girl. Let's give it up for Laura Spaeth, everybody.
Hey, can you guys hear me? I put my fancy mic on.
Yes, we can hear you very nicely.
Fancier. Yes. Frank, I'm not getting spots there either. So.
Well, I know that for years there was no better place for a woman comic to socially distance than the Comedy Cellar.
Exactly. Exactly.
A couple of other clubs as well. Sweetie. Yeah.
And I'm with you with the mask, Irene. I have not had a cough, a cold, or the flu in over a year. And I'm not getting on public transportation without a mask.
Yeah, the flu is gone down considerably.
Hold on a second. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt. Can we bring on this guy? I didn't realize he was here. Okay, this comic is one of my absolute favorites. I love him. His videos crack me up. He cracks me up. I've known him forever, and I can't tell you, I'm just gushing. I love him so much. Let's bring him on. He does get spots at the Cellar, Mr. Danny.
Oh, look at that.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Good.
Frank, Danny, Frank.
Hey, hi. How you doing, man?
Frank. Hey. What's
I'm
up?
so sorry, Laura. I rudely
That's okay.
We were just complaining about not getting spots at the Cellar, and then I thought it was a great segue to my boy Danny. Are you going to be working at the Cellar when they reopen, Danny? They're reopening.
Yeah, they've had shows. They're all no one's getting paid because it's illegal. But we get up and we perform. For guests who are having dinner at 7.
Right. That's nice.
We don't. There's no hosts. We just each one tag teams the next, and that stopped. That happened when we had to perform behind a glass booth. So that until I think
career as a stripper. I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah. or you can be a Nazi war criminal. I felt like telling jokes and defending Nazism. That happened until Thanksgiving, around a little after Thanksgiving. Then it shut down, and now April 2nd, they're reopening up to 25% again. But I think this time they're going to go a little full-fledged now, and they're going to open every club and really do it 25% at every club, especially as opposed to in the beginning where, whatever.
That would be exciting. I've never done a show myself that had 25% capacity. So
it's pretty much how I always work. So Danny, there you have it. Okay. You've got the 2 top tiers right here. Laura, so we were talking about the lockdown. Danny, I love you. You're so cute. We were talking about the lockdown, and you were in the middle of saying something before I completely just hijacked the conversation. What were you saying? Okay. All right. Is she frozen? No. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, can she hear you? Laura,
Danny.
can you hear?
Me?
Oh.
Was for Danny. Oh, Laura. I thought you were talking to Danny. I was repeat the question.
We were talking about, sorry, it's my fault. We were talking about the lockdown and where the world is reopening, and Frank and I were talking about lockdown. Some people actually have anxiety about re-entering the world in all its glory. And you said some very interesting stuff behind stage that I'd love for you to talk about on the show.
I said that, I'm an introvert anyway, and I see select people that I want anyway. I'm not like a big group, big party person. So for me, it was a chance. I finished a short film and a screenplay, not to plug, but I'm saying I did that with the luxury of not having to run around and do anything else. And it really was a luxury. And also my father passed away in August, not COVID related. And I was going back and forth to New Jersey with a mask for, pretty much the whole summer, taking care of him before he took himself off dialysis, which was his choice. But, I was riding empty trains. And I have to say that if real life, quote unquote, was present, I wouldn't have had that time to do that, you know? And trust me, I was anxiety ridden when this whole thing started. I would get up and go, I still do. I'm like, oh my God, what, you know?
Yeah. I do too, by the way. I have a lot of anxiety. Danny, how do you feel about the world reopening, sweetie?
I'm excited about it. I can't wait for it to reopen. I'm a very social person. None of this has worked for me. I've gotten mild depression for being alone and being, I couldn't even get creative. I was emotionally crippled for a good, I lasted the first 6 months. I was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then I just got tired out by the whole optimistic thing. And then I get into it. And then I have been not the Danny Cohen that I like to be. So it's been miserable for me. And I cannot wait. I don't wear my mask when I'm outside. I only wear my mask when I'm, in stores. But I'm vaccinated now for 3 weeks. So
congrats.
Let's get that.
You see, you got your vaccination before us because you get booked into the cellar and we don't. You see, that's how it works.
The cellar.
I got vaccinated yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
There was no fanfare, huh?
First or second, sweetie?
First.
Okay, yeah. Danny's the only one that's fully vaccinated here. Frank is waiting to go. Danny, how did you feel after that second vaccination?
So I got the second shot I got, I think it was on a Friday. And then I got fever on Monday afternoon. I walked into my house. I was shopping. I walked in and then the whole place was spinning. I was like, oh God. And then I had to go to sleep. I was sick. I threw up.
No.
Overnight. That was Monday afternoon. By Tuesday night, I was 100% better.
Okay, great. It's important to note, because people might say, don't say that. People won't get vaccinated. The truth of the matter is that you should expect possibly to get sick after the second vaccination.
That's a thing that can happen from a flu shot too.
You don't get sick for 3 weeks. You got sick for 24 hours, and I
24 hours,
and that was done, finished.
That was done.
Yeah.
What happened to you, Irene?
And that's a really great point, Frank. You're absolutely right. You could get sick. I think that's something I'm going to have to echo to everyone as well. You could get sick from the flu shot. The main thing is that if you do feel sick, don't panic. It lasts for literally 1 day and then you move on.
It's normal. It's normal.
It is.
Sleep it off.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it, so it's normal. But Danny, I just want to say that Danny's back, the back of Danny's home, you see how beautiful it is with those stencils? He did that. Danny did
nice.
Extra delicious.
Look at that. All that. Do you see what he does back there? He actually stencils.
I'm a stencil artist. My side hustle.
That's right. That's his side hustle. Look at this. So if you ever needed something like this done, Danny, what would this cost for
Hi, everyone.
a regular person to get done?
This, like if I did like one wall like this and then another wall, I have all 3 walls done. This would cost like under $2,000.
$2,000. And what? How do you do
a room? And that's just 3 walls. It would be like about $2,000, and changes your room. That's it, and you have beautiful walls.
Nice.
I mean, it's really gorgeous. And what do? Use paint to go over the sets?
Paint, yeah.
That's unbelievable. And if that's not enough, Danny also sells ties. I actually bought a few of them from my family. Your ties. Too bad you don't have one on you right now. The Danny.
Yeah, no one's wearing tie. No one's wearing pants. No one's wearing ties.
That's true. I'm not wearing pants right now.
I'm not wearing pants.
Ooh.
I am. I'm moments away from doing a tube in here.
So
has everybody been creative? I mean, have we all been unemployed? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I've been lucky. I've been making money doing online shows, but I have been very productive during the pandemic. I don't want to brag, but I watched every Adam 12 episode. So And before that, I watched every Dragnet episode. So I'm using my time productive. When the lockdown first started, someone tweeted, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet during a lockdown, and everybody was like, "Fuck you," Like, why are you putting pressure on me to like I've been a big advocate through this whole thing of like, people just deal with this any way you can, whatever gets you through it. If writing something is helpful, then do that. If you just want to sit on your couch and binge for hours, and go into escapist entertainment and forget your troubles do that. Do whatever you can do to get through this, and don't feel bad that you're not doing this or you're not doing that.
That's true. But although, you know what, you're right. Give yourself permission to do whatever the fuck you want to do. If you want to sit around and binge watch, but Frank, you're always very prolific. You wrote books, he wrote like these crazy books. They're amazing. I
did publish a novel during the pandemic.
You did.
Wow.
But I'm much more proud of the Adam 12 watching, though.
That's more important. And Laura, you wrote a complete screenplay during this.
I co-wrote a screenplay called
what? I didn't hear that.
You just muted your mic, sweetie. We can't hear you. Anyway, while she's getting that, I'm happy to report that I have done virtually nothing except binge watch and make silly videos with friends. And Danny, your videos make me laugh so hard. So you've been doing a lot of making videos, and I wonder if you're going to have that. Oh, we still can't hear her. Laura, just hit the button.
There you are. There you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now she muted again. What the hell?
It might be your microphone.
I'm going to take it.
Okay, yeah.
You keep going back and forth.
Back and forth. That's right.
Here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
She doesn't want me to talk.
Yeah.
No, I wrote a screenplay, and then I wrote a short film, and then I wrote a couple of essays. That's what I did.
Nice.
And I made pizza, and I gained probably 12 pounds.
Oh, stop! You're
no, seriously, it's bad.
I know it could be worse.
It could be worse.
I put on 45 pounds.
He did, and that's why.
Great
segue for me to say that I'm training Danny. That's right. We Zoom exercise once a week, even though I've been an asshole and we both been. We had last week.
Right.
But that's how I've been actually sustaining myself, is by Zoom training. And Danny is doing kickboxing with me, and he's
wow.
He's
I didn't know that you can kickbox, Irene. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Frank, you want to join in?
No, I just have something new for my spank bank. That's all.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I love you, Mr. Conniff. Okay, so I want to talk about, since the clubs are reopening, I thought it'd be a really fun thing to just talk about our worst gig. Danny, I've got a couple with you, and those are the ones I'm going to talk about. We're going to start with Frank. Frank, what in your history of doing comedy, we've all had a horrendous gig. What was your worst gig ever?
Well, I don't know if we've had so many, it's really hard to narrow it down. But I think one that was just a memorable, and it was really the worst thing about it was I had a toothache through the whole gig. I did a gig in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Escanaba, Michigan, which is actually a very beautiful part of the country, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And myself and a couple of other comedians, we performed at a strip club there, and which, nothing wrong with that. And the strippers were all very sweet heroin addicts, so that was nice. And but it was like a very economically depressed. What? It was just. I can't hear you. What are you saying, Irene?
A little frozen there. I don't know if it's me.
Am I? Can you hear me?
I have you back. Okay, go ahead.
So it was like a very economically depressed town. So there was just the whole vibe of it, and I had a toothache, and it was very depressing. But the thing that creeped me out more than anything, and I don't know why it was, but it just like like it's just haunted my nightmares ever since, was the couple who owned the strip club, and they had a son, and they had the son outside the club with a sign hawking the comedy show, and he was dressed as Alfalfa from the Little Rascals. And it was just like something from Fellini or something. Like I never got over that for whatever reason.
Oh my God, that sounds like a good time, Frank. What are you talking about? Jeez,
I know, and my set, and it was, and the show was on the runway, and but the show went fine though. The people were nice and they laughed. So I guess I probably had worse gigs than that, but that one it was memorable.
Did you have to end up? Did you do a lap dance? Did you have to end with a lap dance? That might be entertaining.
I did. That's how I got so many laughs.
Laura, what's your worst gig that you've ever?
Oh God, my worst gig was, I have to say, Johnny Benson gave me my first gig and my worst gig. God love him. I think it was Johnny Benson. It was at some theater in Connecticut, and they forgot to put the heat in the building. And there were literally, I think, 4 people in the audience, and I had to host. And it was a huge, like, 700-seat theater. I'm not kidding. And I was in my jacket, my Rocky gloves, the fingerless gloves. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I don't think I had a lot of material. I had maybe if you have 15 minutes of material, when you have no one in the audience, it's like, it's over in that 5 seconds. So, and I can't believe that we didn't just say, okay, there's 4 people in the audience, like no show. But we did the show, and I hosted that show. And I literally was in like a winter coat and fingerless glasses.
Right.
That was the worst.
How everybody's performing with COVID now. Everybody's in winter coats and gloves. That's heat is very important when you're performing. Yeah. Danny, you tell us, what is your worst gig that you've ever? I've seen Danny in action. You're gonna have to choose one, Danny. I know you've had a few.
I've had so many. There's so many. Really? And I don't mind any of them. So that's why I
love it. Some of my funnest times were
I love that one. I love the one, I love the one that we had where the chairs were flying and then the owner almost got hit by a table. And then the police came in and dragged the guy out. That's my favorite one. But there was one, then I had to open up a Caroline to a packed house. I opened up, sold out. Mark Maron. I was opening up for Mark Maron. It was my 3rd year of comedy. And I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why they hired me, but I guess because I was young, shame on them. It's like, I don't know, shame on them. Shame on them.
Shame on them.
Shame on Caroline. Shame on Louis. Shame on his assistant. Shame on all of them for hiring me on my 3rd year of comedy to open up a slammed pack. And I had to do 2 shows on Friday night and 2 shows on Saturday night. And that was the contract. And I bombed all 4 shows to a point where I got up on stage and I was so bad and I didn't even know how to save myself that the audience got so loud. It got so loud that there was nothing I could do. I mean, it was almost, I was in like Grand Central Station all of a sudden.
Were they booing? What were they doing? Or just talking over yourself?
Worse than booing.
They were talking over yourself.
There was a hint of booing, but more than booing. It started off with a boo, but then it turned into, you know what? Not only do you suck, not only do we have no interest or we're offended by what's been given to us, we're just going to ignore you and we're going to start talking to our friends now.
I've been in shows like that.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Decided to talk among themselves. 300 people talking among themselves. There was no way I can get 300 people to look at me. It wasn't even a matter of hate. They hated me so much that they ignored me and started talking. That was, to me, that was the shittiest. That I never felt so shitty after a gig than I did at Caroline's.
That's hard because at least when they're booing, they're paying attention to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being ignored and talking over you is the worst. Two of the worst gigs I ever had were with Danny. I'll briefly describe one of them. I was doing a show at Comedy CD. What was it called again? CB's Comedy Club. I was on stage, and some guy from Brooklyn decided to bum rush me while I was on stage. He actually lunged at me to physically attack me. And every fucking guy, every comic, every bouncer, they bailed. They bounced. They bounced.
Oh, man.
They bounced. The only one that had my back with this person lunging at me, this psychopath that was drugged out of his mind, was this guy, Danny Cohen, and he yelled, "I will fuck you in the ass." Do you remember that? You in the ass. That was one of my favorite shining moments, and the guy totally backed off.
From Brooklyn, and it's Brooklyn on Brooklyn. So
Brooklyn on Brooklyn. I love it.
I can take Brooklyn on.
You could say Brooklyn on Brooklyn. And then the other one was on Staten Island when Danny and I were on stage, and people were being really rude when Danny was on stage, and he got very upset because they were being, I don't know, they were being very obnoxious. They were talking back, and then a fight broke out, a legit fight broke out. The owner was a cop, and he just had testicular surgery. He had one testicle removed, and one of the guys kicked him in the balls. Remember that? They lunged the stage again. He got kicked in his one possibly healing ball, and then the cops came. It was crazy.
Wow.
And I had such a good opening. I was doing so well. I had them in my hand, but there were these two assholes that were screaming over, and I was like, oh God, I was so angry because they were, like sometimes you go on stage and the crowd just jumps right on board, and then you think and everything's beautiful. That's exactly what was going on, except those two assholes that were heckling the entire time. When I got up and they were like, I went back at them. They came back at me, and right away it got very hostile. Right away.
But Danny, remember, I had your back that night too, because I got up on stage after you went on stage, and I started fighting. Shut the fuck up, Danny's my friend, because I'll never forget the way you came at me when that guy was lunging at me, and then that big fight. Another terrible, terrible gig that I had. It was really awful. I did it with Rachel Feinstein. It was at Laugh Boston. I was getting ready to go on. I had to go to the bathroom. I was sitting on a piano, a big giant, like what's the
grand?
Like a grand piano. I was sitting on it, and I broke the piano, and it came crashing down and peed in my pants. That was one of the worst fucking gigs of my life. And I was like this to the MC, fucking stretch. And he couldn't hear me. And I peed in my pants. And I had to explain the loud noise because it sounded like a bomb went off. That was.
Irene, I think if you had submitted that, if you had you sitting on the piano, breaking it and peeing, if you had submitted it as performance art, I think you would have gotten a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts.
I should have. You're right. I mean, Gigi Allen, what? I could have done that. You know what I mean? I could have done that. But
how do you explain the urine, the peeing?
The urine is just age, I think. I can't hold my urine.
No, but I mean, you came out with wet pants?
I'm sorry?
You came out with wet pants?
Yeah, no, I told them that I peed in my pants. Sometimes you just have to be honest with your audience. And if they judge you, then they can go fuck themselves. Danny will have a temper on stage. I will say one thing about me. I will not be bullied, no matter what. I can get booed. I can get whatever. But I do have a temper, so you're going to judge me for peeing my pants? You're lucky I'm here. I almost killed myself, broke a very expensive piano that's not coming out of my pay tonight. Fuck everybody. And so
there was an urban legend in comedy for years. I don't know. It's just a story that went around that this comedian Kip Adada, this was like in the late 70s or early 80s or whatever. He was so coked up on stage that he peed his pants on stage. And I don't know if it was even true, but it was like an urban legend, and he actually had to address it like when he was interviewed and stuff,
Right.
So it's a maybe a good reason not to get too coked up before you go on stage.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
But does Coke make you pee?
If it's good shit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Coke does. It's like a laxative. Anybody know?
Yeah.
Anyone that's tried it
a
a few times? You've tried it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, thank God for comedy. Thank God for the bad gigs. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
I always say if you don't bomb as a comic, then you're really not going to learn anything. You know?
Yeah, you're never. I mean, people are actually shocked when who aren't in comedy. If you tell them, well, Jerry Seinfeld bombed when he started out. Bill Burr bombed when he and people like they can't conceive of the idea that the comedian they love would have just been great from the moment they came on stage. But like, there's no comic that any of us have ever met who's never bombed. Not only never, but has bombed many times on stage. It's part of the learning process. It's your university degree when you bomb a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's what makes you intrepid. That's where you gain your fearlessness. I think that, when you bomb, that's what really gives you the legs to stand up there,
Yeah.
Another thing that I had to learn in stand-up, and let me know how you guys feel about this, is you know how people get really excited when they do a good job? They're like, I fucking crushed it. Or when they do really bad, they can't get out of bed. I learned how to not let my good sets and bad sets affect me either way.
Yeah, that takes a while, I think.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get to that point. I think after years of doing stand-up, I reached a point where bad shows didn't affect me. But then like a few years ago, I did a show downtown and it went really badly. And I was like depressed for like 2 days afterwards. And that like rarely happens anymore, but I think it is capable, because sometimes a bad show will bring up like bad feelings. And like, it kind of reminded me of when I was younger and I felt like a loser all the time, I mean, I think that can happen, but most of the time can just shrug it off. One time I did a show in the Pacific Northwest, and in the entire tour I bombed every single night on this tour. And the only time I got any good reaction was near the end of my set when I said, and in conclusion, and the audience applauded.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, whatever gets a laugh, Frank, and an applause break.
But it's even worse, like when you really bomb, it's almost as bad, like just having to walk through the crowd to leave the club. Like afterwards, like you're just so embarrassed,
It's like the walk of shame, and you're right. Stand-up can definitely be triggering. It absolutely can.
You bomb on a cruise? Good luck going to the buffet.
I know. I bet. That would be like you'd hope that COVID would come to the cruise.
I'm going to swim ashore. Bye, everyone. Right off.
Nothing would stop me from eating. I'm sorry, I'm Italian. I'd be like, you know what? I know I suck, but pass the carbonara. I'm hungry.
Excuse me, everybody. I need to emotionally eat right now, so get out of my way. I need to stuff my feelings out of the way.
I've got a giant hole that needs to be.
You didn't get the laughs on stage. You're going to get the laughs at the buffet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can make up for it. And you know what? You're probably going to fucking kill at the buffet. After flopping on stage. So that's what happens. That's what we do. Like we continue to test our material, whether it's at the buffet or therapy. Whatever.
Right.
Okay, so. I had everybody submit pictures of their mothers, and I wanted to do just put up the pictures of my mom and tell like a funny story about moms. I think we're going to start with Danny Cohen. He gave 3 pictures. First of all, I'm enthralled with Danny's family life because Danny, I feel like we have parallel upbringings, right? Like
talk about it once, right? Because I grew up in a house full of immigrants. I'm the only non-immigrant. My siblings are immigrants. My parents are immigrants, and they all belong in cages. And let me tell you,
did you do that on stage?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh my God, that is so funny. That's fucking hysterical. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I know we've talked about this once before. We do have very similar.
We do. Okay, they all belong in cages. That's brilliant. Anyway, here's the thing. That's really funny. I hope you do that on stage. But Danny, is it too much to talk about like your dad? How the billboard?
Yeah, he was killed by a billboard in '70.
Oh my God!
What?
Yeah.
Back in the '70s, buildings just collapsed in New York. Like you can just be like, I'm gonna go, and then a building would fall. And he happened to be in one of those buildings. It fell. It was his fault, though. I mean, he did slam down the gate, and then the gate. Back in the '70s, he owned a store in Corona, Queens. And back in those days, you didn't have the key turn, and the gate would slowly close. You would have to take that long metal stick. You'd have to.
Oh yeah.
And you'd slam down the gate, and it would slam down. And there was a bad wall. It was New York City in the '70s. Buildings collapsed, and when he slammed it down, the building collapsed, and the billboard collapsed and fell and killed him and a woman and her baby.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that was very sudden.
How old were you?
I was 5.
Wow.
And then 15, and then I have 2 brothers in between. So.
And he was left to be raised by his mom. Let's pull up the picture.
Oh,
look at her.
Oh, nice.
A couple of years ago.
I love the pearls, the pearl necklace, and I love the head. If I had to picture your mom looking a certain way and having an impact on your fashion sense or the characters that you talk about on stage, this is Diane.
She doesn't.
Diane.
Yeah, she doesn't have chemotherapy. She's an Orthodox woman. Either like, I don't know, she's Norma Desmond. I make her recite Norma Desmond lines from Sunset Boulevard before we go to like a wedding, and she gets dressed up like that. I'm like, Ma, and then I have a couple of videos of her reciting Boulevard.
Oh, that's cool.
I love your mom, because your mom reminds me of the character Diane that you do, where she has a martini and she spills it in somebody's face. So your mom always like kind of dressed up in to the nines, right? Like she looks like somebody that's buttoned.
She's older now. She's still a tiger, but she's an old tiger now. So she's a little tired now.
She's a little tired. She looks. I love her face.
Yeah.
We have the other pictures too, Bobby, that I sent. Oh, there we go. Explain this.
That's my mom and my aunt and her sister Nina, and that's my sister Esther and my brother Joel, and my aunt Nina is holding her son Rudy, and that's in I think that's in Paris or Italy.
Wow.
Actually, I'm gonna say Nina lived in Switzerland for 5 or 6 years. But I think they were in Paris. I think this is Paris.
Wow.
That's beautiful. And the kids look like they have no interest in the picture whatsoever. We also have another one. Can you put that one up, Bobby?
Oh,
there it is.
right.
I love that one.
This is my mom and my dad, my sister, my brother, and my other brother. My brother, the little one, Latazgi's in the middle. Latazgi, my family lived in Kenya for about 2 years. And my brother Ronnie, who Latazgi's holding Ronnie, was born in Kenya. So they're immigrants. All of them are a bunch of immigrants.
What are they doing in Kenya, Danny? What was the fam doing in?
My father worked he was in intelligence. So everyone was born in different countries. They lived.
Wow.
It was like in the CIA. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like a Mossad. He was a spy.
The billboard accidentally fell.
It was an accident. Got out immediately. It was an accident, and he had quit the Mossad already 3 or 4 years before that happened. So
what was your mother's head covering in that picture?
With him, Danny.
A few years ago, my mother became very religious years after my father passed away. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. That's everybody has such an interesting backstory to their life. It's unbelievable. Danny, I never knew that about your dad being intelligence. I'm gonna have to.
Mossad agent. He worked for the Israeli intelligence.
Wow, sweetie.
Yeah, this literally, they don't fuck around either.
They don't fuck around. And that's sexy. That's almost giving Frank's dad a run for his money. Can we put Laura's mother up next? Her mom, beautiful.
Oh wow.
There she is. Isabella.
Isabella. So tell us about this photo, sweet.
I don't even know where this was taken. She was at a car. I have no idea where it was taken, but my mother loved fashion, and she's deceased. So I was like, let's give a nice fashion photo here. But my mother had a great sense of humor. She was funny in her own right. She was a daughter of immigrants. And her father, funny about her father had a very, very heavy Italian accent. And he would take the music. He would always, my mother said, we go to this place called Chippewa Bay. And she worked for like an advertising firm. And they were like, what's Chippewa Bay? It was Sheepshead Bay. He had such a heavy Italian accent. He called it Chippewa Bay. Chippewa Bay. We go to Chippewa Bay. I know. She's
beautiful. I love her hair. I love, I don't think every woman looks stunning in a short haircut, but she's very sexy in her short haircut.
Yeah. And she always had it growing up. I always remember with her hair done in like a bouffant or whatever, but she always had short hair, but it was always up.
It was. So tell me, what did she do in advertisement though?
She was just secretary in an advertising agency, and she met my father at a dance in Union City, I believe.
Wow.
And she quit that. She liked working. She liked being in advertising. My father was a commercial artist and illustrator. She did not meet him anything connected with work. Yeah, and really, really wonderful artist. I have some of his pictures around. But she got married and had kids, and then that was it.
That's what you did back then. You get married.
You got married. You had kids. And then later on in life, she worked in the gift department of a pharmacy that she loved, and she liked working. My mother, she liked seeing people. She was very social.
Well, she's dressed to kill, sweetie.
I know. She's dressed to kill.
Scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, that's what women did then. Now, in a few years, you won't even have to carry your baby. They're actually working on incubation systems. You can just pop it.
Oh, God, that would be great. Yeah. And she used to say to me, the reason people are fat now, because she gained weight as she got older, as most of us do. She said all the clothes are loose. When she was little, a kid, everything was tight, even nurses' outfits. In the 90s, nurses wore skirts and things tight. Now everybody's in scrubs.
That's right.
Oh, I'm not fat. Right?
Yeah, of course not. I get my rack out every chance I get. I'm all about like getting the fucking tight nursing outfits on. I say put them back. Are you kidding me? Okay, so let's. She's gorgeous, Laura, just like you. Frank's picture. Frank's mom, who's like his mother's like a supermodel. Frank, tell us what's going on here.
Well, that's on the left. That's my dad. And that's my mom, and that's Joe DiMaggio.
Wow.
And then next to Joe is Baby Shore. Her name was Baby, and Toots Shore, who was a very famous restaurateur of his day. All of the sports and political and showbiz people all came and hung out at his restaurant, and my dad was his best friend. He was my Uncle Toots, not a blood relative, but close family friend. And this was before I was born, I think. They all used to hang out at Toots Shores, and it just all seems very glamorous from here.
It was Toots Shores sort of like the Elaine's of its time?
Yeah, absolutely. It was but a very hard drinking place. Jackie Gleason was always hanging out there.
Wow.
And like I said, all the sports. It was like the center of like the post-war, like New York. The very first scene of Mad Men takes place in Toots Shores.
Oh, it does?
Wow.
And if you've ever seen the movie Sweet Smell of Success, that part of that movie takes place in Toots Shores. So he was very famous in his day. I went to a ball game with him once when I was a kid, Yankee Stadium. We were walking through the aisle, and everyone in the crowd was waving. Hey, Toots! Hey, how you doing? Hey, he was
like a celebrity, right?
Yeah, like a total celebrity. Yeah, absolutely. There's a book written about him and stuff.
Your parents hang out there a lot?
Yeah, my dad hung out there too much because he was a little fond of the martinis, and my dad ended up kind of working and drinking himself to an early grave, unfortunately. But he had a great life while it was happening. He was a newspaper man, traveled all over the world, but spent a lot of time in the post-war, like late 40s, 50s years of hanging out and being a part of New York nightlife. And I cannot blame him. I totally would have at the same time. I completely like romanticized that era and that time in New York. And if I had been him, I would have been the same way. I would have been just wanted to be as much a part of it as possible.
I absolutely would love that. Rita and I went to Elaine's. I want to order a martini just talking to you about this. Now tell me about your mom, Frank. She was gorgeous. Was she a model? Like, what did
No, she was a kind of a debutante, but
a debutante. What does that mean? Hold on a second.
That's like kind of like a
high society.
So yeah, kind of.
Giorgio might be goosing her. She looks a little.
Well, she told her name. She told him her name was Marilyn that night, so he got a little excited. But but my mother was very young when she married my dad. She was 21, and my dad was 37.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my mom, who really was such a product of the 50s. In other words, when she was 21, she got married because that's what a woman did back then.
Yep.
She got married and she raised she had 5 kids by the time she was 30. Mm-hmm. And she ended up having a lot of mental health issues, and it was all very overwhelming for her, which I completely understand. I mean, when you're that young and you have that many kids, not everyone can handle that. And she just kind of stepped into the role that society assigned to her. And she was a creative person. She was a photographer. I think that in a different era, she might have waited to get married. She might have pursued a career and pursued an interest instead of giving birth to these little shits here,
But also, Frank, also being married to somebody considerably older, 17 years older, it's like I'm not saying your dad's controlling, he's just older, so she's like at a disadvantage. I mean, that's how
I mean, it's absolutely. And also, my dad, like that era of parenting, like in those days, dads were not required to do anything when it came to raising the kids, except providing for the family, except working, providing the house, the shelter, the food, the shelter, and everything. But my dad, like, never changed a diaper in his life. Never. He was under no expectations that he would do anything except work all day and then come home at night. But when I see a lot of people I know who are fathers now, they pick their kids up at school. They do things with their kids. They're very involved with all the minutiae.
And men in general now are just more helpful. Like they're more like nannies, and men just step in and pitch in and help more.
And there's a lot of like old school assholes who make fun of that kind of thing. But I think it's an improvement of men, of fathers sharing the load of raising kids, just as women now share the load of providing income for the household.
That's right. Not only, giving you the load, but sharing the load. It's so very important. Yeah. All right, here's my mom. Let's see if we can pull up that picture of her. Oh, there she is. Okay. That's my mom. I couldn't find a picture that she didn't cut a fucking person out, because she knows how to hold a grudge.
Oh my God.
I like to call this, my mother ghosted them when they were alive. They're in their graves as ghosts. And not only that, she would tag a fucking backstory to the picture. In 1979, Your uncle, goddamn, came to the house and he called your father this, and I said, goddamn. And then she cut him out of the picture.
Wow.
Now that's her on the left.
Yeah, she's the one dancing, looking glamorous.
Okay. Beautiful.
My father behind her. My father was, and my mother were an arranged marriage, actually.
Wow.
So they really didn't know each other before they got married. And my father had Asperger's, so that was delightful for my mother. And I really honestly can't remember who she cut out of the picture there. But, you know, there was a lot of those little holes in her Polaroid. But there she is. I do love my mom. I mean, yes, she did cut somebody out of this picture. But the main thing is that, you know, she also had a hard life, because imagine marrying somebody that you never met before at the age of 23 and having to move away from your family into a different country and then giving birth to somebody who's autistic. So
she didn't even have the option of swiping left. I mean, it's awful.
She didn't have the option of swiping left.
And then you have to have sex with this person that you don't even know.
It's easy, and you're away from your family, a different language, a different country. That's hard.
It is really hard. They never even met each other, and I walked in on them once, and it was the worst thing on the planet. Oh my God. Has anybody ever walked in on their parents? It's one of the most traumatizing fucking things on the planet.
I bet.
Because
my family was Irish Catholic, so there wasn't a lot of sex going on.
it's traumatizing when you see that. Anyway, so I think that in conclusion, it's a big bright line. I can say that our lives are somewhat improved since our parents, but at the same time, there's certain things that I wish that there's certain things that I also glamorize that I wish we could do that they had access to. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy so much about always being on social media and stuff like that, but then there's so many ways to be creative. Like, Danny, I just love your videos. You crack me up when you make these videos. Do they give you joy?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy. I enjoy making videos. I love social media, and I love it all. I love the, you know, like, I think that, like all of us, you know, we all went into show business because we like to be on the screen. We like to perform. And so now we're in full control of these little videos that we can make, and sort of like little just like, you know, 1 minute or 20-second or 30-second moments, you know, that captures a feeling. And it's fun and it's easy and it's no big deal. And you put it out, and, you know, that's it. And you let it go, and it's fun.
But also it's altruism, because actually when I was having a lot of shitty moments during this COVID, I would watch one of your videos and laugh my ass off. So you may be doing it for fun because you're about to fucking kill yourself, and you're giving me joy and preventing me from killing myself. And that's what's so beautiful about Danny Cohen. All right, so we're running out of time. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Go around and plug yourself, biatches. Laura, anything that you want to plug on the show?
I am not plugging anything, but you can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me at Laura_Spaeth at Instagram. And hopefully you'll be seeing my movie next year called Dream.
Yay.
Yeah.
Is it a comedy? Let's talk about this. Or is it a drama?
It's a drama. It's a drama. I co-wrote it with somebody. His name is John Dosher, at a company called Starline Films. That's based in New Jersey as of now. So we'll see. He's in LA right now trying to secure funds for it. So we'll see what happens. And then I have my own little short project that I'm possibly doing. So
amazing. So amazing. Good for you, sweetie.
I'm out of the public platform. I'm home writing, which is my thing.
Brilliant. And I've been trying to do more of that as well.
I know. Yeah.
Mr. Cohen.
Follow me on Danny Cohen Comedy on Instagram. That's pretty much where, you know, everything I'm doing these days, whether I'm plugging for my next show or silly videos. So it's Danny Cohen Comedy.
Oh, fabulous, sweetie. And I will be tuning in as I do. And Mr. Conniff?
April 13th, Tuesday, April 13th, which is in 2 weeks at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Traceable, you and I will be doing our next live streaming Mystery Science Theater style movie riffing show, a night of short films, which is really fun. And that's $10. And go to eventbrite.com for tickets. And if you want to check out my books, you can find them on Amazon.
Wow, amazing. And I'm Irene Bremis, and I'm like Danny. Anything that I plug will be on at Irene Bremis, my Instagram account, or at Irene Bremis 13 on Twitter, where I am the most foul, vile version of myself. I always say that I've got 3 fucking personalities: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter's the snatch, if you ever want to tune into that. But anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming.
This was
Thank
fun.
Thank you so much. And we'll be here next Tuesday. I'd like to say see you next Tuesday, but that seems rude. So I'll just say I will see you next week on Tuesday, so I don't offend anybody. Thanks for stopping in.
Bye.
Bye, Danny.
Bye. Bye.
Frank.
Bye.
Bye, Irene.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Check us out next week when Frank and Irene sit down with, you know what? I don't know what these two are going to do next, but we'll see you next week.